Welcome back to everyone's channel. I'm wishing for a day full of Christ's grace for everyone. To ensure you don't miss any updates, we hope you like this movie and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Come along for the ride as you watch this film through to the very finish. Father Michel Rodrigue's detailed predictions and spiritual revelations have made him a well-known figure in some religious circles in recent years. His prophecies of a worldwide cleanse have aroused interest and worry in equal measure. Father Michel argues that these purifying events are more than just natural disasters or political upheavals. Rather, they stand for a divine correction. That is, God's direct reaction to humanity's increasing disengagement from morality, religion, and divine mercy. According to Father Michel's prophecies, these catastrophes are certain to occur and are actually just around the corner. His words have always stressed the need to get ready, both physically and spiritually, as the world is about to enter a time of unheard-of misery and conflict. Father Michel has been sharing these findings for years in the hopes of assisting people in getting ready for the difficulties that lie ahead. The urgency of Father Michel's preaching has grown. His disclosures indicate that the world is on the verge of major wars that will cause a great deal of pain. According to his description, the purifying process has already begun, with significant global events serving as indicators of the times. Father Michel insists that battles will break out in various parts of the world, which is one of the most concerning aspects of his prophecies. He has made particular reference to the current crisis in Ukraine, which he believes is one of the signs of impending, more destructive wars. But his admonitions go well beyond this area. Father Michel also makes mention of the imminent escalation of hostilities between Israel and Iran. He believes that these tensions have the potential to spark a protracted war in the Middle East, with global repercussions. However, the cautions don't end there. Father Michael talks on North Korea's unannounced attack. He claims that this unexpected assault will come as a heavenly reaction to humanity's moral decline and disobedience, happening when no one expects it. According to Father Michel, these disagreements are more than just political. They are a part of a larger spiritual cleansing process meant to reconcile people with God. Father Michel stresses that these things shouldn't be seen as chance happenings, even if they seem like natural or political calamities. Rather, they stand for God's reaction to pervasive immorality, the rejection of Christian principles, and the growing apathy of humanity toward Christianity. God's cleansing hand is at work, and humanity needs to be ready to face the upcoming hardships on a spiritual and physical level. Father Michel has continually advocated for a strong spiritual preparation in light of these tough times. His teachings have focused on the value of leading a life that is centered on prayer, confession, and the Eucharist since 2018. According to Father Michel, these spiritual exercises are necessary to endure the purifying process. He says that one of the most important things to do is to come to a complete confession, which he calls a life confession, with the intention of being in a position of grace before to the start of the apocalyptic events. This entails admitting all sins done throughout one's life. Father Michel maintains that in order for divine protection to occur throughout the purifying phase, this state of grace is required. Father Michel suggests frequent confession in addition to daily attendance at Holy Mass. Although many Catholics consider Sunday Mass to be a must, he suggests that people try to attend Mass every day. This is essential, he says, not just for one's own spiritual development, but also for keeping a strong bond with God's grace through difficult circumstances. He highlights that having a life that rejects mediocrity and embraces the entirety of the gospel should be the main goal. This entails abstaining from sin in addition to offering prayers for others, particularly for adversaries and authoritative figures like priests and church officials. Father Michel believes that there is a strong assault on the church, especially on the priesthood. He therefore exhorts Christians to pray for the protection and direction of clergy members and other church officials. He maintains that social and familial responsibilities are just as important as individual ones when it comes to spiritual training. Father Michel emphasizes the value of family devotion in addition to individual spiritual efforts. Families are urged by him to dedicate themselves to the Holy Family, which consists of Saint Joseph, the Virgin Mary, and Jesus. Father Michel claims that the entire household is spiritually protected by this act of consecration. Additionally, he advises that a blessed representation of the Holy Family be shown in every home, whether it be a permanent nativity set, painting, or statue. He argues that this obvious emblem in the house serves as a spiritual shield, shielding the family from potential heavenly penalties. Father Michel's message is very clear. In order for the family to weather the impending hardships, spiritual fortification is just as important as individual preparation. During the cleansing process, families that dedicate themselves to the Holy Family and live in harmony with God's will can find safety and security. Father Michel has offered advice on creating spiritual havens inside the home, in addition to spiritual consecration. Even though they are temporarily located, these have the potential to develop into long-term safe havens provided specific spiritual conditions are satisfied. Father Michel says that if a house is blessed and consecrated, it can become a haven for anyone. To sanctify the house and keep evil forces out, he suggests using salt and exorcised water in addition to a special prayer of consecration. When correctly executed, this act of consecration turns the house into a haven for people looking for protection during difficult times. Father Michel does stress that a spiritual refugee's protection is not a given. It is contingent upon the spiritual condition of each person residing in the house. The entire protective force of the refuge will only be available to those who continue to live in a condition of grace and adhere to Christ's teachings. Despite their outward precautions, those who disobey God's instructions could not experience the same degree of protection. Father Michel says that the idea of refugees is not just about houses. He advises people who own land or gardens to anoint these areas with salt that has been exorcised. Father Michel also says that God will lead people to permanent places of safety guarded by angels when needed. The apparition of a tiny flame or tongue of fire above the heads of individuals who are being summoned to relocate to a new place of refuge will be one of the indicators of this heavenly message. The way in which Father Michel describes the warning or illumination of conscience is arguably the most profound of his prophecies. He argues that every individual on earth will be able to view their soul as God sees it because of this occurrence, which will be a supernatural intervention. People will go through a period of intense self-examination during the warning, during which they will realize the condition of their souls and the consequences of their transgressions. Father Michel stresses that this will be a historic occasion for humanity, giving people a chance to turn from their sins and turn back to God. He says he knows the date of the warning, but he's not allowed to say. He does, however, reassure that the event is approaching and will happen in a few months. Following the warning, the world's punishments will not affect those who follow God faithfully and acknowledge this time as a gesture of divine grace. Father Michel claims that these penalties are saved for people who, in spite of the warning, choose to reject God's love and mercy. The advice from Father Michel serves as a call to action as much as a warning. He exhorts people to make the required preparations, spiritually and physically, for the upcoming hardships as individuals, families, and communities. He claims that a period of cleansing is coming to the world, and that the only people who will be able to withstand it are those who have a firm foundation in faith and are abiding by grace. Believing people can shield themselves and their loved ones from the trials of the apocalyptic events predicted by Father Michel by engaging in spiritual practices such as prayer, confession, consecration, and building spiritual shelters. Ultimately, his message is one of hope. Amid the impending storm, those who prepare their souls, cling to God, and believe in His kindness will find safety and serenity. I appreciate your participation in this trip. Your participation and presence give this investigation significance and influence. Until then, may the common narratives of our human experience serve as a source of inspiration and hope for you.